Chicken yards often end up looking like somebody is trying to recreate the Dust Bowl. That's a shame, because chickens like to eat grass and other vegetation. If only they didn't dig up the whole thing. Here's how I provide my chickens with grass and various vegetables to eat. I made these feeder boxes so chickens can walk on top and eat all the grass and other greens as they grow through the top. But it keeps the roots protected. You can make these in a variety of ways. I often use whatever material I have or can cheaply get. I got several old wooden fence panels for free and doubled them up because they were in pretty poor shape. This is also a part of a fence that was coming apart, and I'm using the pieces. Most of my boxes have removable lids to make it easier to work the soil in between planting. Here, I just put some wire I got from a junk pile over a frame made from 2x4s. I often use 1-inch poultry netting to make the top, as it's probably the cheapest wire that works. With the 2-inch wire, they can often get their heads completely in and get too close to the roots, doing damage. Here, I put 1-inch poultry netting over the 2-inch since the chickens kept getting too close to the ground and tearing up the whole plants. You can put dirt in these boxes, making them sort of a raised garden bed, or just plant along the ground. I often add dirt so that when I water it helps hold it in some instead of it going out around the edges. I use the water from my duck pools to water these. Now, to talk about what kind of things I plant. I use a lot of seeds that are sold for creating food plots. I use one that's a mix of, that tetraploid ryegrass? I don't know how to pronounce it. As well as forage clovers and brassica. These are cold hardy grasses that give my poultry some nutritious food throughout the winter. It's January now, and look, they're green. Now, I live in Zone 8, where we do have freezing weather, but it's rarely extreme. These are cool weather seeds, but I don't know how well they'll do in areas with colder winters. I also planted mini garlic bulbs in late summer. The greens can keep growing even in cold temperatures, and the chickens eat the garlic greens as often as they grow through the top. I also planted garlic bulbs in enclosed raised garden beds to make garlic for me to eat. They survived being recently covered in icy snow. Recently we had a winter storm. I covered some of the chicken feeder boxes, especially the ones with seedlings from a sprouting mix. I just put over old sheets or plastic to decrease damage. But I can't wait until all this stupid white stuff is gone. Yeah, I can tell I'm not a kid anymore. I also planted alfalfa, which also seems to be handling the cold okay. Alfalfa sure looks like clover, but it's that alfalfa on the bag. To give my poultry a variety, I also plant microgreen seeds, as well as various other vegetables like kale, carrots, beets, broccoli, and whatever else I feel like planting and is right for the season. Wheat and oat grass can also be good choices. I just recently started planting oats, but they seem to be doing well in the cold. In warmer weather, I can add some lentils so my poultry can eat the sprouts as they come up. My chickens also like eating corn stalks as often as they grow through the wire, making one piece of corn go a lot further. Instead of eating just one piece of corn and it's gone, they can keep eating and eating, but of course it won't ever make corn that way. Sometimes, when you buy a bag of wildlife corn, that corn can sprout and is a cheap way to get loads of planting corn. Just plant a few at first to see if they sprout before you plant a bunch from the same bag. And the same goes for whole oats. I think some are heat treated too much to sprout, but I've done pretty well with finding some that will sprout. Let's try really hard to keep this a secret from the feed manufacturers who might not want you to have a way to get the seed so cheaply. These feeding boxes are good for free-range poultry and especially good for poultry kept in coops to help cut down on parasites, since parasite larvae tend to live closer to the ground. Just make sure they still have places for dust bathing. Growing your own food for poultry saves you money and gives all your various poultry like ducks, geese, and chickens healthy and enjoyable nourishment.
My father expects me to marry wealthy.
A strong young man, like you could make good money in the army. You just have to follow orders always.
Welcome to the night unit.